Stop bullying Etsy sellers. Okay, I want to cover a few little things today. Let's talk about a few issues. Do you remember my notebook of rant? We've got that out again. Today I want to talk about how the Etsy strike is going, the media attention it's had, things about what a strike is, and I want to talk about bullying. So let's first of all start with how the Etsy strike is going. If you haven't heard, it's all over the place, but I've made a few videos on this subject you can check out. A number of Etsy sellers were unhappy with several things, including the fee rise that started this week. And so from the 11th, they vowed for, I think it was around 10 days, to strike against Etsy. So this, as it's been going on since Monday, I thought we'd have a look and see how the strike is going, first of all. And so I'm actually really lucky. Well, no, everyone's got this data now. But I can show you in your dashboard in eRank, if you have an eRank account, you will see this. We have visitor trends, the daily visitors to each of the site over the past 8 weeks. And it has Etsy, Amazon, eBay, and Walmart. And fantastically enough, it's the Etsy ones I'm interested in here. So if the Etsy strike had made a big difference, if a lot of people were striking, then we would expect to see a difference here. So you can see the blue line is the past 28 days, the furthest to the right. I'm sure everyone knows how to work a graph, but just checking. The furthest to the right is just now. The dips are the weekends. So you can see the furthest to the right dip after that is Monday. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so the red line is the month before, and the blue line is just now. So if we look at the weeks before this week, the red line has been slightly above the blue line, just saying that this month is slightly down on the number of daily visitors compared to last month. It's a teeny bit. But if we look at just now, if the strike was doing something noticeable, we would be seeing that the daily visitors, that gap between the red and the blue line would be larger. There would be a bigger gap, or at least the blue line would be lower than what it was last week. This is not a particularly high time of the year for visitors. There's no reason for a big spike this week. So anyone looking at the graph want to tell me if you can see any kind of impact in what we're seeing in Etsy visitors to the site? Now, visitors can be sellers looking at the site, or it will mainly be buyers. But personally, I'm not even seeing a fraction of a percent of difference with the strike. Another thing I'm able to do on eRank is, if you have a basic or pro account, in fact, you even have some usability as a free account, but under competition top sellers, I can look at the shops that had the most sales yesterday to see, are these big shops? Are they striking? Are they not making sales? No, we've got a good number of big shops still there. So the big shops are still making sales. You have the ability to track competition on your eRank account. So there are some accounts that I've been tracking for months and months. I'm not going to out any of them today, but nobody I am tracking went on vacation from Monday. Some shops have been on vacation for a few weeks and others are not. I even went through the media. I went through everywhere that we're looking and seeing where people are making videos and talking about boycotting Etsy. And I only found 2 shops that were talking about the Etsy strike and actually have their shop on vacation. Now, I didn't spend hours looking for this, so there will be more, and now quite a lot of what we're seeing is like news channels rather than actual Etsy sellers. But I went through quite a lot, and I could only find 2 who said they were going to strike, and they're actually on strike, or we'll come back to that later. So Yeah, check that the people you're following are doing what they say, not what they're telling you to do. But yes, that was certainly interesting. And no shade on these shops. Like, congratulations for doing what you say you're going to do. And I have never really said I've never been telling people totally don't strike if that's what you want to do. Just don't tell other people that they have to strike. But, you know, so I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. If this is what they strongly believe in, then great. However, both of these shops, they both are a few years old and they have under 500 sales each. So they're relatively small shops. So really, it's not going to make a big difference to Etsy. Also, looking at the petition, it's up to 75,000 signatures. Now, this sounds really good. But numbers, I wrote some numbers down. Yeah, there is currently around 81.9 million buyers on Etsy, and buyers and sellers have been signing the petition. So 75,000 people out of 81.9 sellers and 5 million buyers, it's not even a fraction of a percent. It's not even 0.1%. But let's be fair and let's say this 75,000 people that signed were only Etsy sellers, those 5 million Etsy sellers. Even then, that's only 0.15% of Etsy sellers have signed this petition, just to put everything into perspective. So while we're talking about it, I want to go on to why is there so much media attention around this? It makes it feel, I totally understand, it makes it feel like this is a super important thing. Anywhere you search now, there's lots of things that are calling themselves news outlets, and there are some big news outlets covering this. And there's a really horrible reason for it. It's outrage news. It is outrage news. Basically, the news channels only want to cover things that are going to get clicks. If there's 75,000 angry people going about in their own, I'm sorry to say it, but in their own little echo chamber where they're talking to each other, they're listening to videos from each other, they're commenting on posts from each other, they are avidly clicking on and watching reports on these things. So it doesn't matter if it's good news or not. News reporting is all about the clicks. It's all about finding things that will get them attention. And for me, this is really kind of not a good thing, because what it means is, in doing this strike, in bringing the media attention to all of this, if this had an impact, thankfully it doesn't, if this had an impact, what it's doing is giving Etsy a bad name, which some of you might be happy with. But these bad names, they remain in people's heads. I can still remember the bad news about Amazon and how they treated their actual employees. That stays in your head. If at the end of all this, Etsy gave in to all your demands and reduced the prices and did loads of wonderful things, the media wouldn't even report on it because it's not got the same level of clickability. So at the end of the boycott, at the end of the strike, there is nothing going to give Etsy its good name again. So yeah, this is very much shooting yourself in the foot or sitting on the branch that you're sawing off the tree. If thankfully it's not working so much, most buyers are not being left with a bad taste in their mouth. Most buyers are not boycotting Etsy. But if it had been, if it worked, we would end up killing our own businesses by the platform that we're using leaving a bad taste in the seller's mouth. It is just how it works. There would be no newsworthy in a report saying, oh, it's great, it all worked. People wouldn't click on it so avidly. People wouldn't share it so avidly. So there's not going to be a news report cycle of how great it is that everything's fixed, if it ever does. I don't think it will be, but let's just say that for now. Don't be all excited at all the media attention. It's only there because people are talking about it and clicking on it. And I have to say, From my small look at the people who are making videos and posts talking about this that aren't like news channels, some of them are just doing it for the clout. If they're saying do this thing and telling you all to do this thing because it's a subject that the news is reporting on and stuff, it's a trending subject, they're doing it for the views. Can you say I'm doing it for the views? Well, my first couple of videos, I didn't even use the word Etsy strike in my title and tags, and I probably won't in this one. I haven't thought about it. Do I want views? Of course I want views, but I wasn't doing it for the clout in the first place. I used the word Etsy boycott because I felt it was correct words rather than Etsy strike, so I wasn't trying to ride on that. But do I want views? I'm like everybody else. If you're not getting views, then there's no point turning the camera on. So to an extent. But I want to talk about strikes and boycotts. And first, I do want to say I totally understand if you're annoyed at Etsy. I've been many times in the past. It feels good to feel like you're doing something. I utterly understand that. I was a kid in the 80s. We striked on the drop of a hat. I remember our teachers went on strike looking for better conditions. We didn't know what it was all about, but we joined in the strike. For everyone in the UK of a certain age, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. The rest of you won't have a clue. But we sat in the school dining hall and sung loudly, "We shall wear red socks," and resisted going back into the classroom. We didn't care about the teacher's pay. We were just protesting because it's what you did in the 80s. And as a side note, I always remember with fondness the union for the teachers was the National Union of Teachers. They didn't look at what those letters spelt before before they created the union. But anyway, now that is a good point coming. The teachers had a strike. The teachers' union, they balloted their members. This is the thing. A strike is employees striking against the conditions of the company that they work for. It is in many countries, it's illegal to have a strike if you haven't balloted the members. You can't just stand up and decide to have a strike and expect everyone else to go along with it. You have to ballot the members. The majority of people have to agree that they want to do this thing, and this obviously has not been the case. You have to have official negotiators. Who in this supposed strike is negotiating on our behalf? And not only that, it's not just demands. In any kind of negotiation, you have to know what your compromises are. So what are we willing to accept if this is an actual strike? We're not going to get all the things that we want. All the demands are not just going to be met. And the kind of thing is, this is a limited time strike. We're saying we'll do the strike for over this period of time and then we'll stop striking. So where's the old bargaining power there? You're going to stop anyway. So this will be forgot about in 2, 3, 4 weeks. But we're not employees of Etsy, therefore we cannot have a strike. That I know it sounds cool and everything. Oh, we're striking. This is not. If you are protesting against a company that you use, it's a boycott. You're boycotting Etsy. Perfectly fine if you wish to do this. Absolutely. Boycott Etsy all you wish. Do I think it's going to do any good? We've already seen the numbers. Absolutely not. Etsy have dealt with plenty hate in the past. Etsy are totally know there was going to be complaints when they did all this. Etsy are not going to notice in the slightest. Oh, my voice is gone. Not Jen, unfortunately. But now I want to get to the point. The point of this video: stop bullying Etsy sellers. And I know some people will have clicked on this thinking the strike is to prevent Etsy bullying Etsy sellers. And I have spoken in the past. There's many things I don't like about Etsy. But just now, I want to talk about Etsy sellers bullying Etsy sellers, because this is what is going on. Have your boycott. Absolutely. If this is what you truly believe in, have your boycott. But I have heard and seen quite a lot of unpleasantness. Now, there are some people, probably the majority of people, are quietly saying, in their point of view, the boycotting just simply meant signing the petition. That's enough for them. And that is good enough. That's putting their voice together with a lot of other people and sending that message to ITSE. That's good enough. That works for a lot of things. If they hear enough complaints, then they might look into it. But there are a number of people who are thinking not only is this a strike, it's some kind of official strike, and everybody should be supporting it. If you're not, you're a strike scab, you're crossing the picket line, you're doing a bad thing. And I've seen people saying how they hate people who are not joining in with this strike, or rather breaking the strike. And hate's a kind of strong word. They hate the majority of sellers for not joining in with the strike. I've seen on so many threads, like places where people have put their point of view across and are getting ripped to shreds. I have seen people who are speaking out against this and just saying, or just not even speaking out, just saying they don't want to join in with this. They don't think this is a good idea. And their posts have been shared in places so that the avidly angry people can go and hunt them down, can go and flood their posts with negative comments to have a go at them. And this is not okay. I deliberately, when I started mentioning this, I have never linked to any one person talking about the strike. I've never linked to the petitions because I don't want to mobilize my audience to say, go and find these people and yell at them. Just have your say your opinion. You can say it here, but don't be hateful to other people. This is almost hilarious. People who are saying they're striking, well, people who are boycotting ITSE are actually on ITSE messaging sellers whose stores are still open. They're messaging them and having a go at them for their store still being open. They're spam messaging because they're not even remembering who they've messaged, and they're sending multiple messages, exactly copy pasta, cut and paste messages to the same person. So they're spending their time boycotting by messaging people. And I have also seen people have their day jobs threatening that they'll go to these sellers' day jobs, including mine. I've had people do this as well, threatening that they'll go and make trouble at our work. So if you want to boycott. I don't think it'll do any good. If you want to write to ITSE with what you're not happy about, absolutely do that. If 75,000 people write to ITSE with their complaints in eloquent, non just ranty, be sensible about it. What do you want ITSE to do? How do you feel they're going to do it? Write to them, then that can make a difference with things. It has done. We're seeing changes in things. We're seeing changes with the star seller system. We've seen a kind of rollback of free shipping items getting priority placement on ITSE. You can do things, but do it sensibly. So absolutely do that. But do not expect that everybody else will agree with you or will agree with your methods for doing it. So don't have a go if other people decide to do things in a different way from how you're doing things. We all have to decide where our lines in the sand are, and this is not a strike. This is a boycott. Feel free to boycott. But ITSE sellers, stop bullying other ITSE sellers. I just hit something random there. ITSE sellers, stop bullying other ITSE sellers. Now, whether you agree with me or you don't agree with me, I'll see you in the comments. But I'm going to tell you now, if you're being abusive to any of my followers in the comments, there ain't no free speech here. I'm going to delete your comments. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.